But what I would say, the reason why he's doing this is the same reason why he invaded under Obama and under Biden, but not Trump, because Trump's not going to let him do it,
Okay.
right? So, and that's just a fact, right?
So
He invaded under Obama,
mhm.
under Biden, did nothing, pulled out actually
Yeah.
with Trump. So why do you think that is if Trump is just
Well,
going to let him do
I
whatever he
think,
wants?
yeah, partly because I think that like Vladimir Putin and like our adversaries saw like a key opportunity in like convincing, like Donald Trump is objectively one of the worst U.S. presidents ever and has been cited many times specifically by the people who he handpicked to be in office, like his top handpicked military general, the highest military official in the U.S. and in the world, frankly. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, said that Donald Trump had no concept of foreign policy and was fascist-like. John Bolton traveled with him to meet Putin, and John Bolton said that it was the only time he's traveled with the president and was scared to let him in a room alone with an adversary or an ally because he was scared Trump would give up secrets unknowingly. 40 of his 44 cabinet members from his first term aren't endorsing him and said similar things surrounding foreign policy that he Rex Tillerson said that he had almost no knowledge of basic U.S. history. So, like, I think that our adversary saw a prime opportunity to like convince the American public that they were safer under the most divisive president of all time, who like cares more about his own well-being than the country's. And if you can't beat the West on the battlefield, you can convince them all to go vote for
So I have a question.
this guy.
All right.
And you'll win. So again, like I don't, I'll let you ask your question, but what I don't understand is how is it logical to you that Vladimir Putin uh, gives up everything? Essentially, he invades Ukraine. He's alienated around the world. Every country on the face of the planet essentially sanctions him to death. Inflation there is out of control. His people are pissed off. He's suffered enormous military losses, enormous. And then all of a sudden, he's just going to draw the lines where they're at, and that'll be it. He did, and it'll just go back to normal after that. The world will just be a safe place. Everyone will start trading with Russia again, and that'll be it. Like
So
I think that you have to be incredibly naive to believe that Russia invaded Ukraine and they just stopped now because that was it. This is all they wanted. It's obviously part of like a much larger plan.
I have a question and then a comment about what you just said. So you claim he's only running for himself and
Yeah,
whatever,
correct.
and like is getting shot and almost dying really good for him? Like you honestly believe that he could have dropped out at like he's a billionaire. Like you really think getting
Yeah,
shot
but I don't think
and
that.
almost dying
Wait.
is for his well-being?
What?
You really think that?
First of all, like I don't think it's good that he was shot. But going back a second, what does him having to be a billionaire have to do with this?
Because he doesn't have to do this.
Okay, but like basic criminal psychology, people do things all the time for reasons that don't make sense. Why did Dahmer do what he did?
Well, all right.
Why do people sexually abuse or rape individuals? Like this is often a
So
comment. This is often a comment like you hear with like movie stars who like sexually abuse someone like Donald Trump, where it's like, oh, they could have gotten any woman they wanted. What was funny?
well, what was funny is that your initial point was that he ran for his well-being, and I asked you, how does him getting shot in the
No.
face?
My point was that he ran for himself, which is he wants power. He doesn't care about anyone or anything else besides himself, and what he wants in that is power. Like
That's
again,
but
like
what's
you're
the
not.
proof to that?
Well, actually, I'm going to first disprove what you just said because it makes no sense to say like, oh, he's a billionaire. He could have just retired. Like basic psychology would tell us people do things all the time that aren't logical. In your scenario, if you were Donald Trump, you may retire and want to be on a golf course. But like Epstein could have retired and lived a great life, but he did something else. That's obvious basic criminal psychology. People abuse Donald Trump sexually abuses women. People say he could get any woman he wants. It's not about having consensual sex with a woman. It's about having power over somebody. So again, like this idea that like Donald Trump would just had money, so like why would he do this? Like people do things all the time that aren't related to money. This is basic criminal psychology. So it doesn't matter. The proof behind him doing it for his own self-interest and no one else's would be a lot of reasons, but I think the most obvious one being the 2020 election.
Oh, about him trying to overturn the election.
Yeah. So like,
So,
so there was no evidence it was stolen, and like he was told that by every single person close to him in his cabinet and his children, and he still tried to overturn it both legally and illegally anyway, which shows me he cares more about himself than the will of the people.
well, you're entitled to your own opinion, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
I can sit here and say he has a big ego and that if he lost, like even if it was 100% legitimate, right, he probably would have something to say about it. But you don't think, and by the way, I have like a reason why I believe this at like after I say it. I don't think the election was stolen. Like people were like throwing ballots or like laying them on fire. Like I think that's stupid. I don't like how would
So
you get
then
away
why
with
did
that?
Donald Trump say it? That's the key point.
So, but I do think the interference was a little crazy considering you had people lie about Hunter
Okay.
Biden's laptop.
So really quick, we can
You don't think that affected it at all?
no.
Because when
Well,
Hillary
wait,
was
wait, 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 wait,
exposed,
wait. I'm more than happy to talk about what you just said, but there's like a key. There's something key we're missing. Whereas if you say that there was no massive fraud on like a scale of like ballot dumps, then you disagree with Donald Trump on this. And so if you
well,
disagree with Trump and you believe that there is not evidence for that, and that's crazy, my question is, why did he do it? Why did he lie to you and say that?
well,
Because
at
again, because like for
first,
example, I live in the state of Georgia, so he sent fake electors to the state of Georgia to try to overturn our election result illegally. He tried to take away the will of the people in Georgia. We willed our vote to Biden. He tried to take away my rights as a citizen and say no, you're willing your vote to Trump when we didn't. That's why he's facing a RICO charge. So
yeah, well, just pointing him out for that is crazy considering Harris just basically asked for donations because she wants the votes recounted. Because a lot of Democrats feel like there was misvoting, there was cheating with the
I don't think
Starlink.
there's any prominent Democrat who believes there was fraud. And also, Kamala Harris conceded the next day. She lost. Right. So when did Donald Trump concede the 2020 election?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, he didn't. Exactly. So again, like engage on my logical point. Why is Donald Trump claiming that you disagree with this claim that there was massive fraud? If
Well,
he actually cares about the American people, if he cares about America, and you agree that the people willed Biden, why does he not care about the will of the people?
so I think he said that at the beginning because at the beginning, obviously, like you don't really know anything. But last time I checked, when he was on Joe Rogan, he brought up nothing about the ballots. The only
Okay,
thing he brought
but
up was the interference. And when JD Vance
that's
was
still
on there,
not. But hold on, but okay, and again, I'm gonna like try to pivot back to the box of like, okay, he might say these things now, but at the time when he's been told in the Oval Office by his Department of Justice, his FBI, his handpicked chief of staff, his attorney general, and his children, and a third party source who came to the White House, skimmed voting data, and told him there was no fraud. So he got all of that information, and he still proceeded over the coming months to try to legally and illegally overturn the election and flood the American public with disinformation about the election. So why did he do that?
well, he might have just thought it. He might have just
Okay,
thought that
so
actually happened.
he just thought it with no evidence.
Well,
So
he was trying to get evidence, right?
okay,
So
so he was making a claim without evidence. So that right there, if that is your standpoint, that has to be a disqualifier for president. That's insane. He's making a
uh,
claim against the will of the American people because he quote feels like it. That sounds like something like my Uncle John would do, not something the president of the United States should be doing.
but both sides they make claims or false claims like this all the time though. You're picking on
When has ever anyone in American history, when has any president not conceded and tried to overturn the election?
never, but that
It's right.
doesn't.
So your point is mute. It has never happened.
No. I know. I'm not even trying to justify him doing it. I'm just trying to say you guys pin him for this one thing, but this happens.
It's an incredibly damaging and dangerous thing. It is you we are talking about overthrowing democracy, changing the will like again, I really need you to conceptualize the idea of the American people voting for Biden and Trump just because he feels like it with no evidence is like, no, I'm going to try
Okay.
to stay in power.
Okay. Let me ask you something about a disqualifier though. So that laptop allegedly had stuff basically Biden creating treason, and you had the FBI lie about it and say it wasn't a thing, but it was a thing.
Okay.
So you don't think
Wait.
that's a disqualifier?
No, no.
If
Wait, first of all, who's okay? So a couple things. Biden committing treason. Can you
Yes,
expand?
that was on the laptop that he had deals with Ukraine, and that
Oh,
son was tied with Ukraine.
where'd you learn that information?
From the well, no. Well, I learned it because that's what people think is on the laptop. But of course, no one knows what's on the laptop because you know what? They lied about it and said it wasn't even
Mm,
a thing.
okay,
So
but
they
like where?
when that got
Wait,
brought up,
really quickly, I'm gonna address.
FBI. Can you admit the FBI lied about it? Can
No,
you
of
admit they
course
lied
not,
about it?
because
Okay, so
I don't
is
think
the
you
laptop
understand
real
that
or fake?
no. See, I don't think you understand. The laptop is real. I don't think you understand what I think you don't understand the letter you're trying to refer to. The letter by the 20 or 40, however many intelligence agencies or intelligence agents before the election never said the laptop was fake. In fact, it
They
very
say
explicit. No, wrong. And I'm more than happy to pull up the letter. It very explicitly says the laptop is real, but the contents of the laptop may be and it is they appear to be Russian disinformation, which is could still be true to this day. They never contested that
why haven't they
they
logged into the laptop?
hold on. They never contested that the laptop was fake. They said that the laptop is real, but the things on the laptop may be Russian disinformation.
Okay, so but wouldn't you think that they would want to investigate that? Like, why they never got in like the laptop? Why has
Okay,
that
yeah,
never
because
happened
like
yet?
that's a because well, there's like a whole and there's believe it or not, there's like an entire judicial process to like getting their hands on the laptop, and like the laptop ended up in on it was like being used for some other there's a whole thing. I remember listening to this on a like New York Times
Yeah, remember
podcast.
listening to excuses because Chris, you're a very smart. You're a very smart guy.
Okay, all right. So
You
you
don't
didn't
think
so you didn't even let
if
me.
they would have got if you don't think if they could have gotten that laptop if you don't think they wanted to get in
Okay,
that laptop they couldn't? Is that what you're trying to claim?
can you just be quiet for a second? Appreciate you, bro.
Sorry,
So
sorry.
again,
I'm not trying to be rude, by the way. I actually
yeah,
like you,
yeah, yeah.
but
So yeah, so again, like I think you just refer to this giant apparatus as they. So we have like again rules and regulations in this country, and like that's objectively a private citizen's laptop, and so getting a warrant to just access that laptop is going to be quite a few steps. Number two, again, I'm very curious because and again, like normally when you go to a judge, believe it or not, if you just go to a judge with a private citizen's laptop and you're like, hey, I feel like there's treason on this laptop relating to the president of the United States, the judge is going to go, do you have any evidence? No, denied. Now, can we talk about where you got that information about him, having business dealings with Ukraine? Do you think that Joe Biden had illegal business dealings with Ukraine?
his son definitely has ties with Ukraine,
Okay.
100%,
So I'm asking you if Joe Biden.
guaranteed.
I'm asking you if Joe Biden was involved in those business
Well,
dealings.
why do you think he's giving them so much money? If like
Wait. We can talk about that. Can you answer this question? Do you think that Joe Biden was involved in business dealings with Hunter Biden?
one, it's not 100% proven, but it's kind of likely, right? I mean, it hasn't been disproven that
Well, here's
that's the case.
do you? I don't know if you remember this, but I'd say like a year ago, roughly, there was a House, it's been going on for a while, but at the heat of the Republican House impeachment inquiry, they had these like witnesses come in, one of which claimed to work for Hunter Biden and said that Joe Biden was involved in these business dealings. I think that's probably where you're getting that information from because that's when it like really exploded. They testified, and James Comer, who's a House Republican, said, we have multiple witnesses, including a quote star witness, who is directly giving us information that shows that Joe Biden was a part of these business dealings. We are going to impeach him. That, for the record, is where you're getting that information.
Was that found not true?
Well, unfortunately, you notice that they didn't impeach Joe Biden, and that would be because that star witness who was feeding information, he actually admitted under oath to the FBI that all the information he got was from the Russian intelligence committee, and that he was lying, or the Russian intelligence. Someone tied to Russian intelligence, and that he was lying, and now he's in federal prison. So, interestingly, on this live, we've proven together that Russia did interfere in our election and successfully made somebody believe that Joe Biden was corrupt when they weren't.
Well, first of all, saying any politician isn't corrupt is a
Well, again,
little
like that. So
crazy.
you're straw manning. So that's obviously not what I said. I didn't say that, but it's very fascinating that literally live on TikTok, we can just watch the people flow in who the House Republicans were being fed information from the Russian intelligence agencies
Okay,
on a Joe Biden corruption scheme that didn't exist.
but that what does that mean though? Like that they shouldn't. go in that laptop? Is that what you're trying
No,
to claim?
no, no. I was just, I think I was speaking on the general premise. Also, like, again, the first question in your head, in my mind, should be at the beginning of this conversation, we had a topic about like peace in Russia. And like, because Putin was too afraid to do it under Trump. So why is, why is the Kremlin and Russian intelligence, uh, essentially giving somebody to the House Republicans and feeding a bunch of fake information straight to the American public about Joe Biden being corrupt? Wouldn't that help Donald Trump win?
Well, if I was Russian and I was like, wait a minute, this president's son has business with Ukraine.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. The information was fake. Like it was just like not real. It was just made up.
So Hunter Biden has no relationship with
That's not
Ukraine
what
at
I
all.
said. I said, first of all, Hunter Biden is a private citizen. So I'm talking about his relation to Joe Biden. So again, like I'm asking you, why is Russia, who supposedly is scared of Donald Trump, trying to help Donald Trump win the election? I don't
Well, they
understand.
interfere with every election. That
Okay, so
doesn't.
again, we're straw manning. I'm asking you specific if their inherent goal is that you say you made the claim that Putin is scared of Trump and he wouldn't do any of those things under Trump. So then why would they be actively partaking in an effort to feed fake information about Democrats being corrupt straight to House Republicans? Doesn't that seem like that's those two things are against each other? I mean, if they were scared of Trump, shouldn't they be feeding information to Democrats about how Trump is corrupt? That didn't happen. So becomes my concern is that like our adversaries have us by the balls. Like half this country could, frankly, at this point, go work for the Kremlin and at least get paid for spewing the shit they do. Because I mean, this again, I think that this has been an elaborate, deep ploy, not ploy, but it's been very well set up to squeeze the United States on a global stage with already a bunch of division in the United States exploding and convince the American public. And I'm not saying the election was stolen. Kamala Harris lost fair and square. And I don't know exactly for a fact how much information has been pumped by the Russians, but we know for a fact they have pumped. They've had quite an apparatus of disinformation online. Again, I think this is an elaborate ploy in the midst of hating the West, wanting to break down the West. They're more divided than ever. Donald Trump only cares about himself, doesn't know anything about foreign policy. Let's convince the Americans that they're safer under him. Let's squeeze under a Biden-Harris administration, and all of a sudden, you don't have to beat the West on the battlefield.
Well,
You
well,
beat the
here's the
West from
thing.
the inside as we all crumble, and Donald Trump like expands executive authority and breaks our democracy.
Here's the thing. I'm just trying to understand, right? Because, like I said, I know you're smart, right? So I don't understand how you look at the past three presidents, like the three presidents, and he only didn't go in with one president, and then you somehow claim that he is ties with, right, or not even ties, but like is would let Putin do whatever he wants
Because I think
and
that
do
that's
all
like
this. So, but what happened the first time though? Like that's my
because
question to you.
because
What happened the first time?
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, like obviously Ukraine still existed in 2014 in Crimea or in during Trump's term in Crimea, number one. Number two, like again, I don't think that there's like much cause like I'd like you to identify like a cause and effect there. Like just
Cause
because
and effect?
like
Yeah,
you say that like
Trump
oh
came in.
under yeah, so you're but like can you like I'm that's not a cause. Like I'm gonna need like it is a cause. I'm gonna need like proof of Trump being the reason. So like you say he invaded under Obama, he didn't invade under Trump, he
Okay,
invaded under Biden. It's so clear.
sure. I'll give you a reason.
That's correlation without causation. I
No,
need
no, no, no.
cause.
Okay. If you don't know like everything, right? And you look at it blatantly. You have to look at if you're trying to find the cost, you have to look at like something that changed or like the one thing that changed, maybe. The only thing that changed in between this is was the president, right?
The only
So
thing that
everything
changed,
else was the same.
the
Everything else
only
was the
thing.
same.
Wait. In the most complex civilization ever built on the face of the planet, the only thing that changed between 2014 and 2016 was the president. That's a little disingenuous. I'm sure a lot of things changed.
Well, the biggest thing changed, right? Ukraine was the same,
But again, like
Russia was the
I don't
same.
understand like what okay, so how about this? How about try to give me like some of like what like you can't just say like they were scared of Trump. Like what policy did Trump enact?
100%. I it didn't even have to be a policy. It
Okay,
was
so that's like not
you
that's
had
not cause and effect enough. It's just
no, no,
not.
no, no, no. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You trying to hide it behind it? There was no policy is
Wait,
crazy.
oh my
Considering,
God.
no, 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 no. Wait,
I'm
no.
not, hold on. I'm not trying to hide about anything. I'm literally just asking for, if you want to say that the cause was Trump, I'm just saying, okay, I just literally just want to know, what did Trump do? Like, for example, Donald Trump is the only president in American history. He's actually one of two presidents in American history to lose more jobs than he gained during his presidency. He lost the most jobs ever, left office with 3 million less jobs than he started with, left office with a 14% unemployment rate. So I could say Donald Trump was the worst economic president ever.
Well, oh, I already know this point. I'm gonna say it's COVID, and you're like,
Right.
exactly. Like,
Correct.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's important to identify cause. So like, if you want to say the cause
Okay,
is Trump, that's fine. But now I need to know like what Trump did. Because if the answer is like, oh, he's just Trump, that's fucking like, again, I just on a logical point don't understand
okay.
this. Apparently all
Here's the
of
thing.
okay, let's hear it.
Here's the thing. Ready?
Mhm.
We are. Can you agree that we are the biggest superpower in the world? Right?
Sure.
Okay. You have people coming out with stories about Trump, with him threatening to nuke a place, se- sliding what's it called, people's houses in front of them,
Okay.
and threatening. Right?
Okay.
Threats work, believe it or not.
Wait, so
They do.
why do you think like the
Do you
smartest
think Biden really was was threatening Putin like
why do
that
you
crazily or
I
no?
think I don't mean to be a but I like we're talking like the way we're talking about foreign policy right now is on like a very like shallow level. Like I don't think that like are you suggesting to me right now that in the United States the brightest foreign policy experts who have gone through all of the madness that the US has around the world just they could have just started calming things down if they just leveled more threats? Like yeah, of course Biden
You don't
threat
think that
of
helps? You don't think that would help?
okay, again, like I just like I don't even understand what we're talking about right now. Do I think it would help? Biden in 2021, Bob Woodward just released a book, one of the most renowned journalists in the United States who exposed corruption in Nixon, Trump, and now wrote a book about Biden. He makes a joke that he wakes up every day and says, "quote What are the bastards hiding?" Because he always thinks there's corruption at the top. He said this was the first experience he had looking into a White House where he felt like there was actually good governance and they cared. They weren't perfect, but
Oh my.
they were well, regardless, it's actually a really interesting book about the Ukraine war because there is one point where U.S. intelligence officials, which I want to point out that Trump often said that he believed when intelligence officials would tell Trump and say publicly that Russia was trying to interfere in our election, he would outwardly publicly disagree with them and say, "I believe Putin." But regardless of that, when the intelligence agencies told Biden, we assessed, and this was in 2022, we assessed that there's a 50% chance that Russia is going to use a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine. They're suffering too many losses, and Putin's freaking out. And then it follows a 3-day story of Biden looking at Jake Sullivan and saying, "Get the goddamn Russians on the phone." And then Lloyd Austin sitting down or on a phone call with the secretary of the, at the time, Secretary of Defense for Russia and saying, "Here's all of the intelligence we have. We have the most robust intelligence agency in the world. Don't bullshit us." This follows a conversation that Biden had for 50 minutes with Putin before they invaded, where Biden said, "I know you are going to invade Ukraine, and nobody else in the world knows it, but I know it." And then essentially told Putin, like, "I have somebody in the Kremlin. Like you do, like our intelligence operation around the world is very robust." And so they went to them with this information about the nuclear weapon. The Secretary of Defense for Russia said, "I don't take kindly to being threatened." And supposedly Lloyd Austin said something to the effect of, "Sir, I run the largest, strongest military ever on the face of the planet. I don't make threats." And then 2 days later, the Russians called back and said, "Well, we were thinking about using a tactical nuke because Ukraine wants to use a dirty bomb." And the U.S. again laid out all of their intelligence they had from the Kremlin with Biden and said, "No, you don't. You're bullshitting us to try to give an excuse to launch a tactical nuclear weapon," and Russia backed off. Again, we're talking about the smartest people in foreign policy ever who have done this for 20, 30, 40, 50 years through things like the Iraq War and 9/11. And we are supposed to believe that Donald Trump, the Playboy billionaire movie star, just somehow figured out the most complex topic on earth just all of a sudden. All the Harvard graduates, all the degrees in foreign policy, all the brightest minds sitting in a room couldn't figure out the Iraq war, but here comes Trump levying threats on the phone. He's got it figured out. That's a little naive.
Well, first of all, that's not what I said at all. That's say that is not what I said at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that when you have a guy who everybody right because you first of all you can't even dispute this. 2016 when he was running, everyone was calling him crazy, like legitimately a crazy person, right? So when all these governments are hearing that, and then you get on the phone with the guy who now leads this army and is I'm going like who basically threatens to nuke them. You don't think if actually there was actually a report about this where or after Trump and Putin had a phone call, he ran over. It was like even if there's a 5% chance that he's going to do it, we're not doing it. Right? You Biden did not do that. Obama did not do that. The difference is that Trump literally threatens to level the place, and if you're a smart person,
That's
even if
right.
there's a five
The
percent
United
chance,
States foreign policy apparatus is not violent enough. Continue.
even if you're a smart person, if you think there's even a 5% chance that this guy is going to level the entire place, you're not going to do it. Am I correct or not?
I mean, I guess so. You should go call Trump. Sounds like you're a foreign policy expert. You get paid for this.
Well, regardless, okay. So it's crazy you say all experts, but you still haven't really. Your biggest excuse for why he's magically stopped under Trump, but not
I don't.
Obama or Biden is that this was all planned, that they're friends, and this was
Wait,
trying to get
whoa.
him in
No, no, no,
office. This
no,
was
no,
trying to
no,
make
no,
him.
no, 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 no. I said that that's why I believe that Putin saw a prime opportunity to invade Ukraine when he did. You're asking me why I think like if Putin invaded Crimea without firing a shot in 2014 and then stopped, could I say that, well, he didn't do anything in 2015 under Obama or 2016 under Obama? There was 2 years
Yes,
there
he
with
did.
nothing. What did he do?
And Obama actually knew this, or actually, well, it's kind of obvious, is that the Russians, sent troops to Ukraine, but with no Russian flag on it, right? Obama called him and was like, "I know this is you, right? Because it's kind of obvious." And Putin like was like, "No, it's not," because like there was really no proof. Because you know how when you go in, like you have like your like patch of like right, like United States flag or whatever, right? And he just was like, "No, that's not me," whatever. So Obama knew that, and that actually did happen. Okay. Then all of a sudden, when Trump gets in president, or when Trump becomes president, all that stops. There is no excuse for that. You can bring up all these experts and all the people in his cabinet
Okay,
beforehand
but like
and all these
again, I don't
excuses,
think I don't
but
know
the
where
reality
you
is
get it. Where are
that
you getting
that
this in?
stopped.
Where are you getting this information that like all these things stopped?
There was a whole documentary about it when Hillary was running.
Wait, there's a documentary about what?
Well, there was a documentary about Trump like winning the 2016
2016 election.
presidency, because it's like who would have thought this guy like would have done that, right? Like this guy who just comes in, no background. And they said that when Hillary was running, Putin sent soldiers on like I won't even say on mass, but like I think you know what I'm trying to say, like they had a uniform, but like not like it didn't look like a Russian uniform. And Obama called him. I was like, I know this is you doing this. Like, I know these are your
Okay,
troops, and
so
he denied it.
I understand. So then what? Like, and then the documentary claims like it just stopped under Trump.
Oh well, okay. Do you have any proof? Or wait. So you're going to try to claim that they didn't stop
I
under
mean, again,
Trump?
like I think that like I mean, around the world, there's certainly a lot going on, a lot of death and destruction under Trump, just like any given other time. So I just don't like. I don't understand. Like you're kind of making it seem as
There
if
was
like
like one conflict under Trump.
really, wow. Well,
Yeah,
interesting. Can you name that
there was
conflict?
one war started. I mean, I know he claims that there was no wars started under Trump or under him, right? I mean, well, you know how he is, but there was one. The
Which was
second the second Biden takes
what was the one
control of the
war?
office,
What? No, 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 no,
you
no, no, no.
have.
What was the one war?
I'm gonna be honest, I forgot it, but I can admit that no.
Wait, no,
But
stop, pause.
I can admit that there was a war.
It's because well, first of all, under the Biden Harris administration, we've seen significantly less military casualties in active combat than under the Trump administration. That's because for the first time in American history, or not American history, for the first time in a long time, Americans are not in like an active war zone. So under Trump,
Well,
can I speak?
that's not even true, but
What active war zone are we in right now?
so when Harris said that in the debate, there was literally TikTok videos of our soldiers being like, "Where are we at then?" Remember that? Remember that
No,
real
dude, can
video?
you give me something more than a
Look
TikTok
up
video?
that
What?
video right now. I want you to play it in
No,
front of these
oh my God.
1.4
Can I
thousand
finish? Can
people.
I finish speaking really quick?
Yeah.
Okay. So like again, like when we're talking about foreign policy, you just said there was one war under Donald Trump. So we were involved in Afghanistan, where there's 65 U.S. troops who died in active combat.
Yeah.
Uh,
How did the polling go?
so can I finish speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 65 troops died in active combat in Afghanistan. Drone strikes increased somewhere between 200 and 400% under Trump compared to Obama, as he's taking away regulations to make them more transparent. There was a conflict, a civil war in Yemen that the U.S. was directly involved in under Trump, where 85,000 children starved to death. There was a Syrian civil war. I mean, do we need to keep going? There were dozens of conflicts
Are
around the world.
you really gonna try to compare the two when women and children are getting bombed in Gaza?
Logan, you were respectful. I got to start shifting people. I'm never going to end this conversation. I could have just said, I probably shouldn't have just kicked him, but I got to shift a little bit. I got to shift my mindset here. Logan, you can come up anytime. Haircut. Yes, I got a haircut.